Hey Worship Leader fam, the HX 3.0 firmware update is finally here. Can you believe it? I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm very excited. Like, they dropped it mid-morning on a Thursday. What's the deal with that? It doesn't matter. We're all excited. Now, I don't want to waste your time, so we're going to dive right in and make this a quick video, but let's get the two big things out of the way. What we got with this update is 8 blocks finally, right? Everybody's been waiting on these 8 blocks. We finally got them. I have more to say about that in a little bit. And then we also got Command Center for HX Stomp. Now, this is something that Helix has had for a while, but I have no idea what it does. I know it controls MIDI some sort, so I'm definitely going to be investigating that more, but I'm not going to talk about it in that video because I need more time. But what we are going to cover today is my top 6 new features and effects. We're going to walk right through them. I'm going to play, so get your headphones or your in-ears in so you can hear stereo effects, and let's dig in. Now, the first thing I see people wanting to know is how to change their foot switch 3 back off of tap tempo mode. And if you don't know how to do that, let me just show you real quick. So all you need to do is hit these 2 buttons here, scroll over till you get to global settings, then you want to go to the switch one. Foot switch 3 says stomp, that's what you want, but if it says, once you do the update, it's gonna say tap tuner, and this will be red, and you're like, oh no, I don't want that. If you don't want that, put it back to Stomp 3 right there, push home, and you're good to go. Now, the first of my top 6 features and effects is a group of things. I'm gonna just label it all the poly effects. We have the poly sustain and the poly pitch and the poly capo and the poly 12 string. Let me quickly walk through each of those. First, we're gonna talk about the poly sustain. Now, this effect is kind of like the electroharmonic freeze pedal. You play a note and it drones under your playing, and then you can play on top of it. It's pretty cool. I mentioned we have 8 blocks now, but there's still not a lot of DSP to go around, especially if you're gonna use these poly effects. I couldn't even use my new Princeton Amp and Cab preset on this to use it. I had to use the Amp and Cab combined block, and then I have this in my effects loop, and that's about all I could get on there. But if you're watching this and you have Helix and DSP is not an issue, that won't be a problem. Let's hear what it sounds like. All right, next is the poly pitch, and it's the same way as far as DSP. It takes up a lot of DSP, but it can be fun to play with. You can set this interval setting right here, and that just tells you how far away from the original tone you are. I like going all the way up to 12, because that's an octave higher. It came in as a 7th. You can do a 5th too. You can play around with it and get a lot of cool sounds, but I like doing a whole octave and playing with it like this. The next effect is the poly capo, and I guess if you needed to tune down half a step really quick on the fly, you could just put this effect on and not have to do it, but unless you're within like a full or a half step away, it starts sounding really weird. And so I'll show you what that sounds like, but I tend to use it differently as well. I like to use it as a whole octave up, and you can still play with it kind of like what we were just doing with the other effect. If we put it at 0, it's the same as our original tone. But if you need to go up a whole step, you could. And I'll just quickly show you what the 12 string sounds like. I think maybe you could use it for some good swells, but I wouldn't really use it that much. It sounds like this. Now number 2 is the stereo imager. Now I kind of like this because it takes a mono signal and divides it in half, and from what I can tell, it adds a chorusy kind of effect to one side of it and brings some stereo width to it. Now it's a cool idea, but if you've watched any of my videos, you know that there's a better way to get some stereo width without taking up a whole nother block. But let's listen to how it sounds anyways. You can find it under volume pan here. You click stereo, stereo imager, and I'm gonna turn off my reverb. And it sounds like this. Here's my clean tone. All right, number 3 is that they've included an acoustic simulator. It's pretty cool. I've never used one before. I don't know that I ever will use one, but I guess if you're in a situation where you want an acoustic part and you don't want to grab another guitar, or your acoustic player is just completely fallen out, maybe this will save you. Now, I've dialed in a couple of these that I will include in my Expanse Pack. Now, if you're new to the Expanse Pack, what it is if you've purchased it before, you get free updates for life. You already have a link where when I update it, you can go and re-download it for free, having all the free updates. If you haven't purchased this yet, now is a good time because I have a sale right now through Black Friday. Go check it out, link in the description. Basically, you purchase once and you get updates for free for life. It's a pretty good deal. The 2 acoustic sims that I have dialed in are for a Taylor and a Martin guitar. Now I'm using my Fender Telecaster with single coils, which I hear if you're gonna have any success with an acoustic sim, you need to have single coils. Now I used this and I got as close as I could to my Taylor 414 CE. And I don't have a Martin, but I know how they sound, and so I got as close as I could get it without being able to do an actual A/B test. And they sound like this. Here's the Taylor. I'm on the middle pickup. Also have a compressor on here for more finger picking stuff. And here's the Martin. Compressor. I also have a delay on each of these for like little lead line stuff. All right, number 4 is the glitch delay. Now this delay is kind of crazy. At first I was like, I don't know if I'll ever use this live, but in conjunction with some real ambient reverb, which maybe that's just always my go-to, it can make some really cool swells. These are the settings I came up with. This is actually in a preset that I'm gonna talk about on our next point, but here is the glitch delay. Clean tone. I mean, it's crazy. Some reverb. It's kind of fun. All right, number 5, we now have a Princeton amp, and let me just say, this thing sounds really good. At first glance, I'm thinking this might be my new go-to amp because it just sounds really good. I didn't really like the way it sounds when you just drag and drop it in, but now after dialing it in and tweaking it a bit, using a dual cab, it sounds really good. And so I've decided to include a stereo and mono version of this in my Expanse Pack like I talked before, so I'm adding that in there as well. This is what it sounds like. I'm on the middle pickup, clean tone. I like it because it sounds like a Fender should sound, but it's also a little tighter than the Deluxe. That was just some amp drive kicking it up. Here's some reverb. Glitch reverb. also takes external overdrives. I have my Broken Arrow clean tone. It also takes external overdrive and boost. Here's the boost. Overdrive. Amp drive. All right, lastly, number 6 is got to be my favorite, and it's called Favorites. Out of all the new features, this is the one that has probably the biggest potential for me. So basically what you do is after you've dialed in your effects or your amp or cab the way you like it, you can save it as a favorite. If you see up here we have now, it used to just say presets and IRs, now it also says favorites. So if I go to a empty preset, go over to my favorites, I can just drag in the amp that I like with all my same settings. Now this is good in theory, but it doesn't work all the time like it says. If you see here, it says if you've dialed in an amp or an effects block exactly the way you like it, you can now save its settings as a favorite so it can be added very quickly, which is true. Complete with bypass state and foot switch assignment. It tells you how to do it, then you go down here and it says, so what? So at any time, select an empty block and turn the joystick, the big knob, blah, blah, blah. All your perfectly tweaked favorite amps and effects instantly appear without having to open the model list at all. You typically keep model categories on the same stomp switches, so you can conceivably create a brand new preset with all your favorite stuff, including all foot switch assignments in less than 10 seconds. Now you heard me exaggerate all foot switch assignments. Now, if I drag in, let's say this vintage delay that I saved earlier, it remembered the foot switch assignment. But let's go to an amp that I like. As you can see here in one of my presets, I have foot switch 1 not toggling on and off the amp, because why would I do that? I need my amp on all the time, but I do have it toggling on and off the drive, the channel volume, the master, and the treble to dial in the tone when the drive goes up. Now to do this, I'm gonna have to bring you over here and show you again. What you have to do is, once you're on the right block, you hit action, you scroll over twice, add to favorites, and then add new. Let's replace the old favorite. Let's replace this one. Replace favorite. Boom. So now our grammatical bright should be over here. Let's see if it worked. I'm gonna go to a new preset, go to my favorites, drag it in, and none of those parameters are correct. It saved one of them, but it didn't save the foot switch assignment where it toggles everything up when the drive goes up. So I don't know why. Can someone tell me why that's the case? Also, problem number 2 with this is that if I wish you could just drag and drop easily into favorites. Like, oh, here's my amp. I want to drag it over here, but you see you can't drag it over there. How cool would that be if you could just drag it over there? If there's a way, or I'm messing this up and I haven't enough time to think about it, if you know how to fix these problems, let me know down in the comments. I know that you can right click, go down here and save as favorite. You can name it anything you want. You can replace the existing one. Let's say add new. We'll name it not working. Save. We'll go back to another preset, go to our favorites, pull over not working. Still not working. All right, so here's some final thoughts that I had. I'm glad we have 8 blocks now, but I'm really disappointed that a lot of these new effects, we can't hardly use them because DSP is still an issue. I was hoping they would find a way to take the existing effects and make them more efficient, if that's possible, to take up less DSP. I don't even know if that's possible, but we can't physically get any more DSP, so the only way we're gonna be able to utilize more is if they streamline the effects that we already have. But it doesn't appear that they've been able to do that yet, but at least we are heading in the right direction. Like I said earlier, one of the next things I'm gonna be looking into is Command Center. I know it has some MIDI capabilities, but I'm not sure exactly what it can do yet. I do know that if you have a MIDI controller, you're not gonna have to worry about getting rid of that because you're still gonna need extra foot switches to send those MIDI messages, so you don't have to panic about that. I'm also looking forward to getting into the shuffling looper. I'm gonna need some time to dig into that and to see the pros and cons and compare it to the traditional looper that's already in the Stomp. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other goodies in here to find. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and make sure your notifications are set so you don't miss out on anything anything new when it comes out. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button so I know you like content like this. Also, like I said earlier, I think I said earlier, if you have found anything else cool, let me know down in the comments. We'd all love to hear from you. We'd like to learn from each other around here. And yeah, all right, well, that's all I have for now. I'm gonna dig in and learn more about this. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.